Your intention is to actually resolve them. Why do you go to the street? Why don't you call a meeting of that organization? And this is why we are talking about orderly, responsive, and responsible government. Because the leadership is not about mounting platforms on the streets and calling each other names and shouting at each other and so on. Who needs a street conversation on the campaigns of 2022? I've often said in other platforms that if people actually wanted the truth about what happened in 2022 and so on, this administration promised us that they will form a commission of inquiry on state capture.
Yes.
And in that commission of inquiry, they would include a clause on the administration of elections in 2022.
Yes.
We have been waiting for that commission of inquiry, and that is what they need to do, so that we all go to KICC there and under oath, in the full glare of cameras and the country, we each say what we know and what happened. Some of that truth may be very devastating to some people. That is why people would choose this smoke screen confusion of all the time creating stories and all manner of stories. Let the truth be appropriated in an objective manner, not through street talks and so on. Sometimes when people want to hide responsibility, they will come up with all these stories and so on and so forth, so that it boils down to a match of who speaks louder or who shouts louder than the other. Is that really leadership? The answer, in my view, is no. I'm going to ask the Secretary General to talk about the payment of agents and so on, because as you know, that is not something we ought to be discussing about in 2026 as we prepare for elections. You know, every time we are approaching a serious time of responsibility, such as we are doing, some of our leaders, especially those aligned to the administration, resort to drama and stories and lies to camouflage and to distract from answering straightforward questions and so on. We are preparing for elections as it is. And if anyone has got concerns about those agents who are not paid and so on, should they then address who hired them? And why should it be a national issue? Why should it be a concern for grace and so on about which agent or as an ordinary citizen or a senior citizen like Kembi Gitura? Why should it be a matter we spend time on every day instead of focusing on the kids who are not in school right now because they have not been placed? The kids who are not in school now because their parents cannot afford the 9,000 shillings because this government cannot raise capitation. The people who have been suffered as a result of insecurity in the country. The patients who have no food at Kenyatta National Hospital or who have no medicine and so on. Instead of focusing on those issues, you are engaged in trivialities and petty things about which agents were paid and not paid. 4 years after the election. How serious are we? SG, if you have
I think he has said it. Our party leader was engaged in fundraising. And when he was doing fundraising, resources were being given to the party, Azimio Party, for purposes of being used for the purpose they were intended, including payment of agents. One of the individuals who is in charge of managing those affairs is the SG. And you know who the SG of Azimio is and was and is even today. If we had managed it well, there is every likelihood that Laila would be in State House alive, having secured proper medical attention when he became unwell. Tuachane na hii maneno, tuende kazi ingine sasa. Asante sana.
If you trust me and give me that opportunity, I will not let you down. I will not let you down. And I will not make excuses. Kuja kuambia stories wakati kazi imenishinda. Nianze kuambia kublame sijui huyu, nianze kusema sijui ni nani hapana. Munipea kazi na muniulize maswali. Nitakuwa tayari kujibu maswali. Mkinipea kazi, mimi nitakuwa pia tayari kujibu maswali yenu. Kwa hiyo kazi mtanipea.